This chart shows the widening gap between how long we live and how long we actually stay healthy. Over the last century, global life expectancy shot up, but our health span, the years spent free of chronic disease and physical disability, is leveling off. We are living much longer, but spending a massive portion of those extra years in steady physical decline. To address this, the World Health Organization is pivoting its entire approach to aging. Instead of treating isolated diseases as they pop up, modern geriatric medicine now measures your intrinsic capacity, your actual, measurable physical and cognitive vitality. Yet the new 2025 to 2030 public health dietary guidelines completely miss this nuance. They treat all aging bodies the same, pushing generic real food and macro-based advice that ignores the highly distinct biological realities of growing older. Blindly applying generalized wellness advice to an aging body often backfires, triggering a faster rate of physical decay. To fix this dangerous overlap, clinical researchers have proposed a tiered framework. This system divides the aging population into two different biological pathways. On one side is the optimization tier, designed for healthy older adults looking to maintain their youth. On the other side is the therapeutic tier, engineered specifically for older adults already facing frailty and muscle loss. The biological paradox at the center of this framework is severe. The exact same diet that extends the lifespan of someone in the optimization track could literally put someone in the therapeutic track in the hospital. Identifying which of these two tiers you currently occupy is the single most critical, life-altering step you must take before adopting any longevity protocol. If your body is healthy, the physiological goal of the optimization tier is to safely apply biological stress. You use that stress to slow down the aging clocks and preserve your brain. Adhering to specific nutritional models, like the MIND diet or the carbohydrate-heavy, sweet potato-rich traditional Okinawan diets, builds what neurologists call cognitive reserve. This creates a dense neurological buffer that maintains your memory and executive function, even if Alzheimer's-related pathologies start forming in the brain. But protecting the brain also requires protecting the gut. As we age, our microbiome degrades, leaking bacterial toxins into the bloodstream and causing systemic inflammation. Over a century ago, Elie Metchnikoff hypothesized that consuming specific fermented foods could stop this decay and extend human life. Modern molecular biology proves he was right. Introducing fermented foods like kefir or kimchi physically remodels your gut flora. They enrich specific bacteria that reinforce your intestinal mucosal barrier, effectively shutting down leaky gut syndrome at the source. The ultimate metabolic switch for this healthy tier is intermittent fasting. Restricting food intake to an 8-hour window triggers a cellular process called autophagy. When the cell experiences a period of nutrient scarcity, it rapidly dissolves and recycles its own damaged internal debris. This clears out the toxic senescent cells that drive the biological aging process. For the healthy aging body, targeted dietary stress forces cells into a state of continuous repair, slowing the internal biological clock. But if you are actively losing muscle mass, a condition called sarcopenia, everything we just discussed is highly dangerous. For frail adults, fasting and calorie restriction will actively strip away remaining skeletal muscle and accelerate physical disability. This happens because of a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. As you age, your muscles become insensitive to normal amounts of dietary protein. Standard meals simply bounce off the cellular receptors without triggering any new muscle growth. To break through this resistance, the 2026 clinical targets dictate that frail adults must consume up to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. That is nearly double standard government recommendations, overwhelming the receptor to force muscle synthesis. And it needs the right amino acid profile. Every single meal must hit a strict 3-gram threshold of leucine to spark that growth pathway. Relying exclusively on plant proteins makes this nearly impossible, as you would need to consume massive, impractical volumes of lentils or beans in a single sitting just to trigger the signal. Rebuilding the body also requires protecting the bones, which brings up the calcium paradox. If you give a frail adult standard calcium supplements, the calcium often ends up calcifying their arterial walls instead of fortifying their skeleton. Calcium cannot act alone. It needs vitamin K2, plus vitamin D3, and vital magnesium. These nutrients act as biological directors, capturing the calcium in the bloodstream and physically routing it directly into the bone matrix where it belongs. For the frail, aging body, survival dictates that you abandon the scarcity models entirely. You must embrace targeted, high-dose anabolic nutrition to physically rebuild your structural foundation. Geriatric medicine now treats food as a precise delivery system for molecular signals, rather than a simple source of calories or broad macronutrients. Beyond diet, certain hallmarks of aging occur no matter which tier you fall into. The systemic decline of NAD+, the molecule responsible for cellular energy, happens across all aging bodies. This brings us to the bleeding edge of precision longevity, targeted geronutraceuticals like NMN. Once absorbed, these precursors bypass standard metabolic bottlenecks to directly resupply the cell's internal energy production. This is why the idea of a universal, healthy diet is a dangerous myth. Blindly following generalized wellness trends without knowing what your cells require can cause immense biological harm. Maximizing your health span in the modern era requires objectively assessing your intrinsic capacity. You must identify exactly which physiological tier you occupy and utilize precision nutrition to rewrite your biological future.